Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to, well, there's a few updates, I guess. I've been playing offline a little bit. I've been grinding a little bit. I just really like Arc Raiders, and sometimes I like to play off stream. So, yeah, anyway. It's also, I'm just going to test real quick a few things. I'm going to test chat. Let's see it pop up real quick. It's up there. Boom. It's in the stream right there. Boom. Let's also look at YouTube chat, because I'm on both right now. I think YouTube takes a while for it to pop up. Yep, there it is. And it's on stream. Sweet. Cool. Alright, that all works. That all works. Now, we're going to keep grinding toward Expedition. It's kind of what I've been doing this whole time. I've been really just trying, because I'm still in PvE right now. I'm still in like really hard PvE. Well, not hard. My lobbies are still very much PvE. So, we're going to keep grinding at that. Just to kind of keep doing that. So we got a few things here, but we're gonna also try something else too while we're here. Hold on, I got a text. Okay, cool. So we're gonna try something a little different today. We're going to react kind of to a Jon Stewart interview. I like politics, I like that kind of stuff. It's only 20 minutes, so we're probably gonna end up also watching some other stuff. We'll see. I'll figure it out as we go. But yeah, I like philosophy, science, politics, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna do a little bit of that as we're playing some streams here, because I do that on my own. Like when I'm playing Arc Raiders offline or off stream, I usually am watching a YouTube video on my second screen. So might as well do that here too, because I like to have something else to react to, you know. So that's the plan. How much I'll be able to pay attention to it though remains to be seen. We'll test it out as we go, but anyway, that's the plan for the stream, so we'll get into it. Alright. There's Arc Raiders, and that should pull up down there. Hopefully it doesn't take up too much of the stream, or of the screen. Maybe I put it like there or something? I don't know. Well, we'll just leave it here for now, and maybe I hate it later, and I switch up how this format is on the side. So we're just gonna keep it here for now. But I'm gonna watch a little. It's an interview with Mayor Matt Mahan. He's running for Democratic candidate he's running for the governor position in California. So we're just gonna watch a little video on him while we play some Arc Raiders. So that's the idea, but we'll play it.
Welcome. Thank you. You are
Check
the
audio
mayor
levels, make sure it's okay.
of San Jose.
Yeah, we can turn that down.
The mayor of San Jose, and tell me a little something about San Jose.
I'm going into my fourth year. San Jose is an amazing place.
Cool.
1 million people,
Looks great.
Heart of Silicon Valley, largest city in Northern California, believe it or not. San Francisco gets a lot of attention, but we are the biggest city.
It does get quite a bit of attention.
Most diverse, most innovative, great food. It's a magical place.
That's amazing. And so you decided to run for mayor. You were, I'm assuming, you ran some kind of startup.
I was in the startup world. Before that, though, I was a public school teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, public school teacher. We love that. That's what I am, usually. Took a little break from it, but we're going back in a couple weeks, so. Yeah, we'll be back in that here in a little bit. At least me, personally. I love the public school teacher to politician pipeline. Tim Walz is a good example. I don't know if there's many other. Let's Google that. Can we? No, it's not. Who knows what Google will pull up, you know? That's fine. We don't need to follow that. And every single little curiosity I get. Yeah, I could go Google it on my phone. Let's Google it. Politics other than classroom experience, yeah. Yep, Governor Walz, Johanna Hayes, Senator Paul Murray. I guess there's some of them. All Democrats. Oh, James Tallarico. We love a good James Tallarico. He's apparently a public school teacher too, so. Or at least was. Oh, and Elizabeth Warren was. He taught special needs students at a elementary school. So, we're in some good company here. So, just funny. They're all Democrats too. Literally every single one of the politicians that were public school teachers, then turned into politics. They were all public school teachers, and they are now all Democrats, which is fun to see. Anyway, let's look at the projects. Again, we're working on expansion here. I have the combat items already finished. I just sold a bunch of guns that I kind of have been just banking for a while. Survival items, I think, is the one that we really need to get done. Provisions, I'll just be able to do that eventually. Let's just sell them. I'm not really going to work on that. Material, though, we can do a little bit here. I don't really need those matriarch reactors. They don't really, I mean, I could recycle them for things, but I'm not going to use them a ton right now. Let's do that. Let's just sell. How am I doing on other materials? I need chemicals and fabric. I definitely need a lot of, so chemicals and fabric I will not sell. Anything that turns into chemicals or fabric. Anyway, let's watch the video still.
What grade did you teach?
7th and 8th grade, English and history.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you left there when?
Teaching? 2008.
Interesting. To do what?
To get into the tech world.
Son of a
I know, you got me. But hold on. We're building civic tech tools to help people participate in their democracy
Oh, that's
and hold
interesting.
their elected officials accountable.
Lovely work. So what made you want to get into the politics side of it?
Well, I've always followed local politics and just felt that government at its best creates opportunity, makes people's lives better. I grew up in a little farming town on the Central Coast, Watsonville.
Sure.
Another great way to use AUK is to...
Some nice ads.
Strawberries and Martinelli's apple cider.
No.
Great place. No, they know.
Oh, they
They know
before
their
you got out here,
agricultural products.
all they were talking about were strawberries and cider. That was all. I couldn't get them on
Well,
anything
that's
else. Every question they would ask.
It's our priority.
What's your
not
favorite
trials.
strawberry?
Well, we
Survival
definitely
items,
have
I
the
guess.
best.
So do we want to
my mom was a
just
teacher.
go
My dad was a
toward
letter
medical
carrier.
places?
The public library was our after-school program.
Just
I
do
mean, this
that?
is just when government services work, they create opportunity. They make people's lives better. And right now, not just in California, across the country, we're
Want a
seeing declining
silencer?
trust in government. We're seeing people turn to authoritarianism because they just want things to work, and they're tired of being asked to pay more for less. And that led me to want to get involved and see if I could help make our local government work better for people.
So you've been doing that. You're doing that 4 years. I'm assuming, and you decided to jump into the governor's race. Are you also running for mayor? How long is a mayor's term in San Jose?
4 years.
So you're done.
Actually, we realigned around the presidential cycle. I got reelected with 87% of the vote. Not bad. Didn't stuff any ballot boxes.
Look at little Putin over here. 87% of the vote? What? That's bananas
87 is
in
nuts.
America. So you get
That is
elected. When
nuts.
was the election?
So that was 4 years ago. Then I ran 2 years in, and now I'm halfway through a 4-year term.
And you were like, this.
Well, John, I just didn't think enough people were running for governor.
How many people are running for governor?
It's unclear. At least a dozen.
And all on the Democratic side. So explain to the people, California is not like a typical, like there's a Republican primary, there's a Democratic primary. This is an open primary.
It's wide open. So anyone with any party affiliation can vote for any of the candidates. There are Republicans running, a ton of Democrats. Top two go head-to-head in November.
So there are like 2 or 3 Republicans running, and like 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, 20.
At least.
Democrats. It's a great plan, and it so smacks of the Democratic Party to split the vote into such fractious fiefdoms that the only 2 people standing are the 2 Republicans.
I see that.
So smart, so typical. Have the Democratic candidates discussed this with each other?
Right now, undecided is beating everybody, okay?
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Undecided is beating everyone.
Still in first place, which is part of why I jumped in, because I think we need to be clear with Californians about how we're going to make their lives better. Spending in California is up 75%
Why do you want to be
in the
governor
last
of California?
6 years.
It is a
Because
disaster waiting to happen.
It matters.
Do you know why they film all the earthquake movies with The Rock there? You've been in a drought for 80 years. Why don't you go run New Hampshire? What are you doing out there?
You know, what we're doing in San Jose has been working. I'm really proud of our city. We've come together around focusing on our biggest problems and being much more pragmatic. We've led the state in bringing people indoors. We've reduced homelessness by about 1/3 by building basic, dignified shelter, improving outreach, doing more prevention. We've hired police officers from our community, done a lot of community policing, and started to tackle quality of life crime. Crime has dropped. We're now the
Adrenaline
safest
shots for
city in the
Buried City. It's
country.
not very big,
Really?
so
Yes, sir.
That's not bad.
We have. We've reduced barriers to building housing. We've sped up permitting, dropped our fees, thousands of new homes.
And you'd like to transfer that. Now, does California hamstring you in any way in this list of accomplishments? Because the thing about California that surprised me is 4th largest economy. I think it's
that's one of the craziest things too about some of our states. Like, I think New York is the 5th largest economy in the world. Just the 2 states, New York and California. It's insane how much these 2 states produce in their economy. It's insane. I love it, and it makes me want to either live in New York or California. Live in Minnesota, and I love Minnesota. Trust me, I love Minnesota. But yeah, California's nuts.
The wind is so loud we can hear it down here. I'd say keep your eyes
Look at
open.
that. Right next to the
Let's go
hospital.
to the hospital with that.
We've reduced homelessness by about 1/3 by building basic, dignified shelter, improving outreach, doing more prevention. We've hired police officers from our community, done a lot of community policing, and started to tackle quality of life crime. Crime has dropped. We're now the safest big city in the country.
Really?
Yes, sir.
That's not bad.
We have.
Wow. Safest big city in the
We've
country.
reduced barriers to building housing. We've sped up permitting, dropped our fees, thousands of new homes.
And you'd like to transfer that. Now, does California hamstring you in any way in this?
I freaking hate these guys so much. I just need to get covered.
You're running a country by referendum. You know, they've got all their own competitions. You can't raise property. You know, the Bel Air Hotel.
There we go. We just got to use cover a little bit better against those guys, I think.
Who's living in, I think, Eagle Rock. Like, what? How do you run a state that is that fakakta? Queen's English, that word. In terms of how it hamstrings your ability to address those problems and use the funding properly to move in different directions.
Well, we're still less constrained than you might think. The state has incredible revenue. We spend $350 billion a year. We're able to because we have the world's leading industries, not just tech, Hollywood, agriculture. Californians are the most innovative and productive people on Earth. We have a lot of resources.
I'm running.
Yeah, look at that. We got some more adrenaline shots.
I think it's
chemicals
time
and fabric.
I think we've got to ask our government to do better before we ask people to give more. And we're seeing plenty of models
We're cool.
in San Jose, but also other states. Mississippi's doing a better job of educating low-income students than we are in California. I think that's completely unacceptable. When government works, it helps working people really achieve their full potential, the American dream. And we have closed that off to too many people because the state is too expensive. We have to really own our challenges. Yes, we've got to fight against Donald Trump. California has to lead the fight against this authoritarian administration in Washington. But the best way to do that is to deliver better public schools, more affordable housing, more affordable energy, and really show that our values in California work in practice. That's what I've been working to do in San Jose.
Practice, yes.
I want to do that statewide.
You bring up a really interesting point, and I think this is something that has been divorced from Democrats are generally the party that believes that government has a role to play in improving people's lives. Republicans are generally the party that says, I bet I can break that. So for Democrats, it's always been interesting that they've had trouble connecting the money that they're asking to raise through taxes to the value it's providing to taxpayers. So to the point of there's a lot of referendums up there now, a billionaire's tax, or getting people that pay $100,000 not to have to pay any income tax. But I think too often
$100,000 to not pay any income tax? That's nuts.
To real value. I don't think people trust that that money will be spent responsibly or have any efficacy.
So predictably,
yes.
One of the annoying things about California is that they've put so much money into their public railway, but it's just it hasn't turned into anything. It just doesn't. They haven't finished anything. It's just like a rail in the middle of nowhere that doesn't really go anywhere. So they've started it, but they just have not carried through on the promise. So it's a frustrating thing about California.
Being the capital of Silicon Valley, we created some dashboards to show people how we were spending their dollars. It works. Because
You're being replaced by AI?
Hopefully not too soon. It's more of a co-pilot.
I see.
Yeah. We've set goals around reducing homelessness, reducing crime, building more housing, cleaning up our city, growing the local economy, and showed people how we're spending their dollars.
And they're responding to that.
Well, more importantly, it's making us better. When we look at the data, when we say, okay, here's the program we're funding, here's the policy, this is what we thought would happen, and then it didn't happen, we adjust. We're actually learning, we're getting smarter, we're doing more with the dollars we have. And in the last 3 years, by reducing homelessness and crime, blight, and getting housing under construction again, we've increased trust in government in San Jose by 40% by delivering results. This is the antidote.
How'd you measure that, AI? Because I've gotten some answers from AI that are a little, the word I think is fakakta.
Yeah, this is just a classic survey. We do a survey every year. We ask people what they care about.
Right.
We're focusing on those things. We're being transparent about how we're spending their money. We're holding ourselves accountable for spending it in ways that deliver.
Give me an example of, let's talk about homelessness. So how do these tools help, and a concrete example of sort of where the efficacy was shown not to be working in the adjustment made, because I think that'll help people get their head around sort of what this governing philosophy is all about.
When I came into the local office, we had a plan to end homelessness. The problem was, it wasn't any math. I said, well, how are we actually going to end homelessness? And as I did the back of the envelope math, it was clear that we would need 20 years and $6 billion that we didn't have, and we had no plan to have.
In just San Jose?
In terms of what we were doing, because we were putting all of our money into the slowest, most expensive solution that is a great solution for the lucky few who would get a brand new apartment that would cost $1 million to build and take 6 years or more to build. I just said, this isn't going to scale. We can't actually meet the need. We have thousands of people living on our streets, hundreds a year dying. We've got to get people indoors a lot faster, much more cost effectively. So we started buying old motels and converting them. We bought modular units or tiny homes and put them out on publicly owned land. We created safe sleeping and parking sites. We started to rapidly expand safe alternatives to the streets. And
join Delicious Rewards and
always can use more duct tape.
give people a dignified that we didn't have and we had no plan to have.
In just San Jose.
In terms of what we were doing, because we were putting all of our money into the slowest, most expensive solution. That is a great solution for the lucky few who would get a brand new apartment that would cost $1 million to build and take 6 years or more to build. I just said, this isn't going to scale. We can't actually meet the need. We have thousands of people living on our streets, hundreds a year dying. We've got to get people indoors a lot faster, much more cost effectively. So we started buying old motels and converting them. We bought modular units or tiny homes and put them out on publicly owned land.
That's cool stuff.
We created safe sleeping and parking sites. We started to rapidly expand safe alternatives to the streets and really give people a dignified alternative. And
now, critics would say, to be fair, that kind of solution is temporary housing. It doesn't really end homelessness, they would say, and your critics, by the way, called us when they found out you were on the show. You're apparently on people's radar. And they said that in San Jose, they felt that it was a mirage, that you didn't really reduce homelessness. It seems like 6 of one, half dozen the other. They're saying that by temporarily housing people, that's just pushing it down the road. Is that a fair criticism?
I don't think it is. Number one, we've ended an immense amount of human suffering. Right. Fewer people are living outside in tents. Fewer people are dying outside. We've moved thousands of people indoors, the vast majority of whom remain off the streets. And already in just the last 4 years, 28% of the people we've moved indoors have graduated to permanent housing. Some have gone on to get jobs, be able to pay their own rent and really kind of re-enter society. It's not easy. We're talking about a population that needs a lot of help. We're starting from a very difficult situation where people have, in some cases, spent years chronically homeless. In many cases, dealing with addiction and mental illness. But giving people a safe indoor place,
why the hell not? Check it
out.
out.
Room with a door that locks, access to a case manager, 3 meals a day, in a safe place is so much better than where we've been. And while I would love to build a brand new apartment for everyone who needs it, our rigid commitment to there only being one solution
sounds like there's someone in the
has in practice left thousands of people
the
to live
key room
and
over
die
there
on our streets, not to mention the broader impacts on the rest of society. And to bring it back to where you started the show with cursing about Donald Trump, when we fail to move the needle on the basics, like sheltering people who are suffering and dying on our streets, we give a lot of ammunition to folks who would approach the problem very differently. We'd rather just lock everybody up who's homeless, which isn't a real solution. So we're trying to move forward pragmatic solutions, get people stabilized, give them dignity, connection to case management and services.
Pick up the scraps from this key, possibly?
That's the approach you're taking on it. Let's examine it. Let's break it down. Let's not look at it as blood. Let's look at the individual data and see.
Oh, yeah, we're good. I'm just going to pick up scraps if that's all right.
Our biggest policy failure, biggest barrier to economic mobility in California is the lack of housing.
All right, cool.
At some point, we have to own that problem. That's one we can't blame Donald Trump for. We have to look in the mirror and recognize that when it takes 2 years to
I'll let you do it, though. It's your key.
Or city fees add 20% to the cost of building a home.
I'll just pick up whatever you've already searched, you know?
We need to make it much easier to build. We've got to build faster. I've just put the most comprehensive housing plan for any candidate in this race on my website.
We're very PVE friendly here.
I break down
Are you completely missing what I'm looting? Yeah, you are, aren't you?
Whenever they search that website,
that's tough. That might need to change.
Does that bother you in any way?
You gotta get the N in there.
You can't spell Maha.
That N is really important.
You've jumped in. It's only been a few weeks, and you've clearly
Dude, what?
Yeah, I found 2 Tempest and a Bobcat 3, and this is a Tempest 3 here.
Dude, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I feel like I gotta repay you some way.
No,
Oh,
worries.
what the
That's mine.
Oh, okay. I was like,
case.
woo! My heart just dropped. My stomach, whoa! Give me a tempest and then just destroy me. We're all good. We're all good. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. I'm heading now. Good luck.
Hey, you too, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
What the hell just happened? They just gave me a tempest. That might be useful for future me when we move into some PvE stuff. Because once I get Expedition done, I want to start working toward that. So that's the idea. Ooh, I already have enough of those though. I mean, I can get syringes out of it. Is it gonna even give it to me? No, it won't, because it's gonna be. Nah, I'm good. I don't need to search those. What am I doing? I'm wasting time. I'm about to have the heavy. And what would be nice is if that guy doesn't have a security breach, then I can, like, there's one in there. That would be cool. Just trying to be thorough, getting everything. You know how it is. I feel like I should probably get some metal here. Let's do this. I don't need that. I can start picking it up, you know? Maybe should. See? It just probably is what I should be doing, you know? See, this is what, those moments like that, like giving me a freaking Tempest 3. Like, this game is so freaking cool. It's so, like, when you're in these lobbies, it can be so generous and so cool. Like, I really, really like this game. I'm gonna probably be spending a lot more time in it in the future, so look forward to that if you like the stream. But, oh, we can get back to this.
You've raised a ton of money so far. You raised a thing. A lot of it is Silicon Valley. For the country at large, that's I don't want to say demonized industry, but it's a frightening one for a lot of people. You know, speaking of homeless, like, you know, Meta's about to lay off, I think, 15,000 people. You know, we're all very concerned that AI is going to make a lot more people be in that position where they're
just get out of here. We got a Tempest 3.
And all kinds of other types of issues. Why are they supporting you? Why should we trust their money? And why should we trust their industry?
Okay, really?
You have 5 seconds.
I think I'm the only candidate in this race who has actually regulated tech. As mayor of a big city, we use a lot of technology, including AI, and we are very careful about what data we collect. We're completely transparent with people. You can go to our website and see what we collect and why. We don't use facial recognition. With some of our technology, we choose to delete the data after 30 days if it's not useful. So we're really clear about what we collect and why and how we protect people's privacy and data security. People are right to be concerned. These tools are very powerful. They can make our lives better. They can also create a surveillance state or all sorts of other terrible outcomes.
Job disruption.
In terms of jobs, we haven't waited for AI to happen to us. I think it would be a mistake to try to regulate the industry to the point where it's just created somewhere else. We need to shape it. We need to regulate in a way that makes it work for people.
Are they in any way open to that kind of discussion? Because the general sense that I've gotten, and maybe this is just from a few of the louder voices, is they are very clear about any interference in what they are doing in the lab underneath.
To delete the data after 30 days.
Yeah, this AI stuff is
so
scary.
We're really clear about what we collect and why and how we protect people's privacy and data security. People are right to be concerned. These tools are very powerful. They can make our lives better. They can also create a surveillance state or all sorts of other terrible outcomes.
Job disruption.
In terms of jobs, we haven't waited for AI to happen to us. I think it would be a mistake to try to regulate the industry to the point where it's just created somewhere else. We need to shape it. We need to regulate in a way that makes it work for people.
Are they in any way open
friendly.
to that
We're cool.
kind of discussion? Because the general sense that I've gotten, and maybe this is just from
hello.
a few of the louder voices, is they are very clear about any interference
GG's.
in what they are doing in the lab underneath the volcano that they live in is helping China. So, the things that you're saying, are they amenable to that discussion in any way?
Some tech leaders get it and are, some aren't, but it doesn't matter. We have to be, because technology has to work for people. Technological change is incredibly hard on
people, not for the
There are a lot
powerful.
of risks here. We have to manage this
I like this
transition
guy.
in a way that
He's
makes
good.
sure that
I
people
mean,
still
he's challenging Gavin
have a
Newsom, I think,
livelihood,
right?
are
Gavin
safe,
Newsom's the
their
governor,
privacy is
right?
protected. It is really important that we get this right. We do want the innovation to happen here. We want to make sure that the jobs of the future are created here first, and that we have a say in how this technology is used. But there's a difference between being in the private sector and creating a tool and sitting in a public policy making role and thinking about the second and third order effects and how we protect people.
Okay, we gotta have an ad.
An interesting part of this new, as we're looking to a new generation of Democratic leaders, there's people like, there's Mayor Lurie in San Francisco, there's people within the Democratic Party who are saying, like, we have to be more solution oriented and we can still have progressive value through that type solution. Are you in touch with other people of that similar mindset? Are you guys always discussing and workshopping solutions? How does that operate?
Yeah, Mayor Lurie and I talk regularly. Mayors are quite pragmatic, typically. We get stopped at the... We're held accountable. I mean, I take my kids to the grocery store on Sunday. It takes me 2 hours to get through the grocery store because everybody wants to talk about...
Oh, I just thought you were incredibly indecisive.
Yeah.
2 hours, I was just like, oh, Christ, I'd probably be behind him in line. Green grapes or purple, they're both so delicious. But yeah, people want to talk.
Well, people know who their mayor is, and they want to know what you're doing to make their life better every single day. And I want to bring that level of accountability to Sacramento and show people that our California values in practice can lead to better public schools, more affordable housing, more affordable energy, safer streets. We've got to prove that.
Mouth to God's ears, man.
If we don't, we lose the trust
Prove
of
that
voters.
these policies work.
When's the primary?
It's the same thing with Zohran Mamdani. Like, you just gotta... It's got to work. I hope it works. I hope there's not too many powers that be that, completely destroy all of what he wants to build. And, but we'll see. But we got to see, We got to see. I think a lot of people want Mamdani's policies. Like, I have conservative friends that I talk to all the time because I like to argue. I like to talk about this stuff. So you get a lot of people that are like, yeah, Mamdani, of course, be sweet to have free healthcare and do all these things and have all these programs, but how are we gonna pay for it? The government's already in so much debt. There's just it's hard. So I don't know. I hope we can figure out a way to do this and make sure that we can get some sort of socialist policies in and have them actually work. So I hope it works.
June 2nd.
Oh, it's coming up.
Real soon.
Who do you think anybody is dropping? It's not going to be you because you got a little nest egg now, so you can stay in there. But is anyone dropping out? Or is this just going to be like scream until the end?
Well, look, most voters are not even aware that an election's coming. This is an off-cycle race. People are just starting to tune in. And I think that when they see what we've done in San Jose to be the safest big city, to reduce homelessness.
Have you guys had a big debate yet together?
We've had a few debates. I think we're going to have many more. And I'm excited to share with people how we get California back to basics.
Who's leaving first? Who's the worst? Who's? Let me ask you this. Weakest link. Who's going first?
I'm gonna let the voters decide that one. Sorry.
Good PR answer there. Especially with Democrats too. Like, just
thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
don't burn any bridges. Don't, destroy anybody. Especially with Democrats. We have enough infighting as it is. Like, let's just be on the same page and work together to try and, make this world a better place for the common person. That's the goal, So we're just going to mute that real quick. And we're going to find another video to react to. I love Jon Stewart. Like, his stuff is awesome. I did watch Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, who's, one of the offshoots of Jon Stewart. The J.D. Vance stuff is really good. Ooh. Yes. Speaking of James Tallarico, the public school teacher, we're going to watch Ezra Klein's interview. We're not going to finish it because I'm going to get off within the hour, so. Within the next couple hours, probably. It's almost 10. Yeah, probably within the hour. By 11, I should go. So, we got work to do tomorrow, but I can bring this back. Got some sweet ads. I'll mute it. What was I making again? Shoot, what was I making again? Oh, we want electrical components. I did mechanical, didn't I? That's okay, I'll use mechanical eventually. Ooh, we got a James Tallarico ad on the James Tallarico video. Interesting, okay. Ezra Klein, the epitome of liberal, I guess.
One of my obsessions over the past few years has been the role of attention in modern American politics. The way attention is a fundamental currency.
Yeah.
And so I've been particularly interested in politicians who seem native to this attentional era, who seem to have figured something out.
So what's your take? I should be the mayor.
Somebody who's been breaking through over the past year in a very interesting way is a state representative from Texas named James Tallarico.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, I feel like Mamdani's just so dang charismatic. Like, he's just such a incredible personality. I love how, like, the left is so mad about his Irish comment today where he's like, I don't know enough about it to really, like, give you a good answer. Like, yes, Ireland's been very oppressed. But again, I would acknowledge that, but as a politician, like, when you don't know enough about the position, like, or about a thing, about a historical, he doesn't know the history of it, I'm sure, so he was like, I don't know, which is the right answer to have in those situations. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna split this and take just one, but yeah, no, Mamdani's just such a great personality, and I guess Tallarico's also good too.
Tallarico. James Tallarico.
James Tallarico, who was on there a while back out of Texas.
Oh, that guy's good, right?
He's terrific.
And Tallarico is a little bit unusual for a Democratic politician. He roots his politics very fundamentally in a way you don't always hear from Democrats, in his faith.
Because there is no love of God without love of neighbor.
Breaking through on TikTok and Instagram and viral videos where he would talk about whether or not the 10 Commandments should be posted in schools.
This bill, to me, is not only unconstitutional, it's
not
only un-American, I think it is also deeply un-Christian.
And the ways in which the Bible's emphasis on helping the poor and the needy had been perverted by those who wanted to use religion as a tool of power and even greed.
Christian nationalists are more committed to the love of power
than to the power of love.
And that was really surprising to many people is that he ended up on Joe Rogan's podcast.
How are you, James? I'm doing well. How are you?
It's the first significant Democrat that Rogan seemed interested in a very long time.
You need to run for president.
Yeah.
We need someone who's actually a good person.
Yeah.
Now Tallarico is running
absolutely
for
do.
Senate in Texas.
The only minority destroying America is the billionaires.
He's running in a primary with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett for what will be one of the most important Senate elections in the country. So I want to have Tallarico on the show to talk to him about his faith, his politics, and the way those two have come together in this attentional moment to allow him to say things that people seem to really want to hear. A language of morality and even of faith at a time of incredible cruelty and
seriously,
at a time
incredible
when
cruelty.
the radicalism of faith seems to have been perverted by the corruption of politics. As always, my email, EzraKleinShow@nytimes.com. James Tallarico, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start in your faith because your politics is so rooted in your faith. For you, what is the root or the experience of your belief? Is it learned for you? Is it embodied, cerebral? Is it something you always had, something you had to struggle to find?
All the above. So my granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas, in Corpus Christi and in Laredo, where my mom grew up. And when I was real little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion. Not an easy religion, he would always clarify, but a simple religion, because Jesus gave us these two commandments: to love God, our source, and to love our neighbors. And so those two commandments, I think, have really guided my life at its best moments. And it's why I'm in public service. I was a public school teacher and now a public official.
Dang right he was. Public school teachers, the politicians. It's a beautiful transition. Something I might do someday. We'll see. I just love politics. I love the idea of like changing someone's life for good. Like that's what I really want to spend my time doing. That's why I like teaching. That's the motivation to it, which is maybe why so many politicians, at least in today's day and age, have shifted from public school teacher to politician, right? Working for the government in different ways, because public school teachers are working for the government. I'm working for the state of Minnesota, so that's how that works.
That's the loving my neighbor. And it's why I'm a seminary student studying to become a minister one day. And that's the loving God part. And both of them sustain each other, challenge each other, reinforce each other on a daily basis.
But you just slipped into how you live your faith, not what it is for you.
Yeah.
So has belief come easy to you?
Part of being a seminary student is studying Hebrew and Greek, so you can actually read scripture in its original language. And one of the mind-blowing things that happened to me my first year of seminary is I was studying this word faith, and many translations it is belief, the idea of believing in a concept or an idea, which makes sense in English Western translations. But it can also be translated as trust, which to me is much more experiential. Trusting that love is going to get you through the hour, through the day, through your life, that love is going to carry all of us forward, that love will ultimately prevail even when it's temporarily defeated. To me, that's what my faith feels like. It feels like trust. Almost like I learned how to swim at our neighborhood pool, and I remember my swim teacher telling me, don't fight the water, right? Like, let the water carry you. And there's so much temptation in our lives to control our surroundings, control other people. And I think the opposite of that control is faith, is that kind of trust, letting life, letting the universe hold you up and not fighting it. And so that's what it feels like for me.
I do love that concept,
again,
that idea.
When I'm most faithful. It's a struggle on a daily basis to
I often use a similar analogy to that concept with like rivers. and emotions. So like our emotions are kind of like when it gets crazy, like it's like we're in the rapids of the river. Like the river is just pushing us all over the place, and our life is chaos, and emotions can be very dysregulating, and right, you're just tumbling down the rapids of the river. And sometimes when you're in the rapids, you just gotta trust. You just gotta trust that the emotions will go through you. Just gotta give it time. It's not forever. It's just right now, right? So those kinds of things. So that's what he's saying right now. Kind of resonates with my philosophy on emotions. So it's kind of cool.
Feel that trust and not to fight the water.
Was it always there for you, or did you have a period as a college atheist reading Chris Hitchens?
I was really lucky that I grew up in an incredible church community. I didn't grow up with my granddad as my pastor. I grew up in a Presbyterian church, actually, in Round Rock, Texas. St. Andrews, shout out to our church. And our pastor, Dr. Jim Rigby,
he's got to keep running. Hopefully I can get
married
here.
My parents. He baptized me when I was 2 years old. And he's a unique, I think, religious leader.
Oh, shoot. No. Let's just go in here.
Trouble a lot. When I was in elementary school, he was ordaining gay and lesbian clergy. Right. He was blessing same-sex unions, which now doesn't seem controversial, but
got a little heated there.
Well, in some traditions, it certainly is.
That's true. But I think it's hard to remember just how controversial universally it was, how radical and dangerous it was. And we almost lost our church because of those actions by our minister and our congregation. And the National Presbyterian Church put him on trial. And so these early memories were kind of seared into my brain. And so I was brought up in a very countercultural faith that didn't sound like everything I heard at school or at work, in the media. And so I feel like I was given a really healthy tradition, and one that has worked for me, partly because Dr. Jim, my pastor, always said that religion shouldn't lead to itself. Religion should lead you deeper into your own life, into your own being. And to me, that is such a gift.
I've done the other one already.
That you can give a young person.
Can you say more about what that means to you?
Yeah, so, I think for Christianity, I'll just speak about my tradition. The genius of Christianity, the miracle of Christianity, is not the claim that Jesus is God. It's that God is Jesus, meaning Jesus helps us understand the mystery. A mystery can't help us understand Jesus. So this idea that
is kind of a
ultimate reality, the ground of our being, the cosmos, however you want to define God, that somehow looks like this humble, compassionate, barefoot rabbi in the first century. Someone who broke cultural norms, someone who stood up for the vulnerable and the marginalized, someone who challenged religious authority. That to me is such a revolutionary idea, and it leads you to challenge organized religion, because the gospel, I think, just inherently,
I think I like the other one better.
Tries to break out.
If I ever get this key again, I want to use the other
religious dogmas and orthodoxies.
I got a Torrente, but there's not much
challenges
else in
religion itself.
I've heard you talk in different clips and interviews about the difference between a living religion and a dead religion.
Yeah.
Is this what you're talking about when you describe this difference between a religion that has been absorbed into structures of power that now is itself a structure of power versus one that is still challenging the ways of this world?
Yes. The separation of church and state, I was taught that constitutional boundary was sacred. Not for the benefit of the state.
You can go to both of them. It opens both of them.
But for the benefit of the church.
Shit.
Because when
someone else
religion gets too cozy with power.
Hello. I'm just picking up scraps. I'm not grabbing anything. You get first pass. Oh.
Yeah, I'm done. It's just some people are more shooty than I am. So.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. No worries. I honestly, I opened up the other door. I opened up the other door.
Did you?
Yeah. So I already used the key down here. But
hey, come here.
What's up?
You need
Nah, I'm good. You can keep it. Sell it. You sure?
It's $5,000.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll
okay,
take it.
cool.
Hey,
Okay, cool.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Have. Hey, you too. Thanks. See what I mean? Like this game is so fun. It's so good. Like we're just all so nice to each other. It's so cool. Ugh, I love it so much.
Our ability to see.
Also, side note, like with James Tellerico, the kind of Jesus that he talks about is someone I can vibe with. Like I'm no longer religious, but like people that are Christian like James Tellerico, like the way I see and the Jesus that I was raised to believe, like that's the person I can vibe with. But these Christian nationalist right-wing people are just not what I see Jesus and Christianity being. So, yeah.
Beyond the current systems, the current era. One of my favorite verses in the New Testament is in the Sermon on the Mount. I encourage everyone to go back and read it, especially as Christianity
Sermon on the Mount is like legitimately
in our
pretty
political
good.
Conversation. Go back and read Christianity 101, which is the Sermon on the Mount. And it's interesting because Jesus takes his followers not into a church, not into a business, not into a governmental building. He brings people to a hillside, and he says, look at the birds of the air. Look at the lilies of the field. This is how we're supposed to live. This is who we truly are. That is revolutionary. It is radical in the true meaning of that word, going to the root of all of our lives and our problems and our dreams. And to me, that is the spirit of our tradition, of breaking these chains, of breaking out of these systems. The word church in Greek means to be called out of. Called out of our culture, called out of our economy, called out of our political system. That is what religion, I think, at its best does. It's what I was given I was given that kind of religion just because I happened to be growing up across the street from this incredible church.
How do you think about the competing claims of different religions? Do you believe Christianity
completely resonate with this kind of Christianity?
More true than other religions? Do you believe there to be exclusivity in these beliefs, that they're incompatible with each other?
I believe Christianity points to the truth. I also think other religions of love point to the same truth. I think of different religious traditions as different languages. So you and I could sit here and debate what to call this cup, and you could call it a cup in English, you could call it something else in Spanish and French, but we are all talking about the same reality. I believe Jesus Christ reveals that reality to us. But I also think that other traditions reveal that reality in their own ways with their own symbol structures. And I've learned more about my tradition by learning more about Buddhism.
Hello.
Hinduism,
We're all good.
And Islam.
We are friendly. What's up? I mean, I've just started. I just got here, so I mean, haven't done too much yet, but looks like there's a little bit that's unlooted. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I feel like right now I'm in pretty PvE heavy lobbies, so I don't know. I think you'll probably be safe over there. Sure. Yeah, that definitely still happens. Especially when you're downed or like something, they just take advantage. It sucks. Let's play this some more.
Islam and Judaism. And so I see these beautiful faith traditions as circling the same truth about the universe, about the cosmos.
Love batteries.
And that truth is inherently a mystery. And I think the most destructive thing is when religion becomes an end in and of itself. That's when religion implodes. My pastor always told me growing up that religious symbols are like aspirin. In order to work, they have to dissolve. They point beyond themselves. If you get lost in the symbols, if you get lost in the words, you're missing the reality that we're all trying to describe and talk about.
What is your relationship to prayer?
Prayer is essential for me. I start out every morning in prayer. Sometimes it's silent prayer, which
got it.
To me,
I thought I missed.
Is probably the most helpful. Oftentimes, those are just prayers of gratitude that God woke me up this morning, that I have health, that I have my family, that I have my friends, that I get to do a job I really care about, making an impact. That gratitude, to me, it checks the worst parts of myself every morning. And then almost every morning I'll say the Lord's
Great
Prayer
practice.
aloud. And that's
Just
a different
practicing
experience.
gratitude, right?
It's much more of a ritual, but rituals are
good for us
also a gift,
non-religious folks too.
because it's almost like it's a rhythm that you're getting back in touch with. A prayer that's been said for 2,000 years in our tradition. And that prayer in particular reminds me about the work that we have in front of us. Because, religion without works, faith without works is dead.
Hello.
When does prayer feel real to you and when does it feel false?
Well, sometimes a ritual, sometimes you're not ready to feel it, but part of the ritual, whether it's the Lord's Prayer, whether it's communion on a Sunday, part of that is to get you into
So
that
many
mode
torn
even when
blankets.
you're not feeling it.
I'm gonna go back.
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life. Raise your hand if you told your boss how to do the same thing more than once. Thought so. That's why.
I've been thinking about prayer in my own life recently, and I've been reading this book by Abraham Joshua Heschel on prayer. And he writes, prayers are humble answer to the inconceivable surprise of living. It is all we can offer in return for the mystery by which we live. Who is worthy to be present at the constant unfolding of time? And I like that a lot. I've been trying to think about when does prayer feel real and when does it feel false, and understanding it as a kind of admission of gratitude and wonder has been a little bit closer to something that I could touch.
Yeah. It's almost, one of my favorite books of all time is The Sabbath by Rabbi Heschel.
Yeah, one of mine too.
And to me, prayer is almost like the Sabbath breaking in throughout the week. And, in that book, he describes this, that throughout the week, we're all concerned about our status and our jobs and our to-do lists. And the Sabbath is when I think he describes it as glimpsing eternity. And to me, that's a little bit of what prayer is. For a few minutes in the morning or throughout the day, it is trying to touch eternity, even as you're trapped in a finite world.
So prayer is an act, and it seems to me that the way you have described your faith to me, your faith is a faith of acts. That you don't, I don't want to say you don't think much of a faith that doesn't, but the question of whether or not you are living in religion is not about what you believe, but about what you do.
Well, and that's what we're taught as Christians. Matthew 25 tells us exactly how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger, by visiting the prisoner. Nothing about being a Christian. Nothing about going to church. Nothing about saying the Lord's Prayer. Nothing about reading the Bible. Just helping others, just loving. I mean, it's remarkable
again,
when
this
you go
is
back
the
and read that passage.
kind of Christianity
But
that I can
they need
always
each other.
vibe with.
Prayer needs action, and action needs prayer. And so I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm saying, because you can be out there doing the work, and if you're not connected to something deeper, you're going to burn out really fast. When I said earlier that the love of God and the love of neighbor sustain each other, they are in relationship. They are united. This is the entire mystery of incarnation, is the divine.
Hopefully that Rocketeer stays away. right, let's get out of here. GG's. All right.
Divine and the human being brought together into one union.
So I listened to you when you did your Joe Rogan appearance, and you offered there a very, very progressive form of Christianity.
What do you think is the biblical evidence to support the opinion of being pro-abortion?
Before God comes over Mary and we have the incarnation, God asks for Mary's consent. And she says, if it is God's will, let it be done. Let it be. Let it happen. So to me, that is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that you cannot force someone to create. Creation is one of the most sacred acts that
again, just such a
that we engage in as human beings.
beautiful version of
but that
Christianity.
has to be done with consent. It has to be done with freedom, and to me, that is absolutely consistent with the ministry and life and death of Jesus.
You're arguing for a scriptural basis for abortion. You're not just emphasizing in your politics different aspects of your faith, but you're very much challenging quite widespread interpretations of it.
Again, I think that's what we're called to do as Christians. Almost every debate Jesus is in is with the religious authorities of his time and directly challenging orthodoxy. So I do think this is, Jesus was a religious reformer. Paul was a religious reformer. And so I think when we're at our best as Christians, we are challenging religious dogmas and religious supremacy. But, I also try to come at this with humility. On the issue of abortion, I've said before, I don't know what Jesus thought about abortion. The Bible doesn't tell us. The Bible doesn't mention abortion at all. And so, as with many issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, we have to take scripture and we've got to try to piece together what we think is what love demands of us on a particular policy question. And you're right, for the past 50 years in this country, the religious right, a political movement, convinced a lot of Christians in America that the two most important issues were abortion and homosexuality. Two issues that aren't really discussed in Scripture. Abortion is never mentioned. Consensual same-sex relationships are never mentioned. And so it's remarkable to me that you have an entire political movement using Christianity to prioritize two issues that Jesus never talked about. And so I'm not saying they're not important. I actually think both of those issues are very important. But to focus on those two things instead of feeding the hungry and healing the sick and welcoming the stranger, three things we're told to do ad nauseum in Scripture, to me is mind-blowing.
How do you understand that? Because I'm Jewish, but when I read the New Testament, I always come away a little bit amazed that politicized Christianity is so worried about gender, sexuality, and so unconcerned with greed.
You're preaching to the choir. Absolutely. Concern for the poor, concern for the oppressed is everywhere. I mean, economic justice is mentioned 3,000 times in our scriptures, both the New Testament and the Hebrew scriptures. And so this is such a core part of our tradition, and it's nowhere to be seen in Christian nationalism or on the religious right. And the Bible is all over the place when it comes to marriage. Paul tells us not to get married, and you see certainly many different kinds of marriages throughout Scripture. And the same with gender. Paul says that in Christ there is neither male nor female, which is pretty woke for the first century, And so, again, it's because religion is being used to control people and accumulate power and wealth for those at the top. This is a tale as old as time, and it is not unique to Christianity. Powerful people will always see religion as a tool to make more money and
it's really nice to have.
And be able to keep people in line.
For those unfamiliar with the term, what is Christian nationalism?
You can define it a lot of different ways. I define it as the worship of power in the name of Christ. I define it that way because I want us to see it as part of a very long tradition.
How do they define it? They being the people who would self-identify with it?
I would think they would define it as wanting a Christian nation. But again, these politicians want a Christian nation unless it means providing health care to the sick, or funding food assistance for the hungry, or raising the minimum wage for the poor. And so it seems like they want to base our laws on the Bible until they read the words of Jesus. Welcome the stranger. Liberate the oppressed. Put away your sword.
It is funny, like, since I've not really followed religion or identified with Christianity, like, I feel like I've been more aligned with the teachings of Jesus than before when I was identified as a Christian. I don't know. I feel like at the same time, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm also very, how do I say this? I feel like I've always been a decent, empathetic, compassionate human being, but, you know, I feel like I've always been aligned with the teachings of Jesus when I was a Christian too, so I guess I can say that as well, but, I don't know, I guess I'd say that because so many people identify with Christianity but don't align with Christianity. I guess I'm seeing the polarization of that in today's day and age is kind of what I'm trying to describe there. So,
sell all your possessions and give the money to the poor. I mean, I'm not exactly sure a Christian nation is really what these people want. Again, I believe the separation of church and state is sacred. I think a nation with one supreme religion is not just un-American. I also think it's un-Christian, given how Jesus taught about religious supremacy. But I do think if these people are going to call for a Christian nation, they need to reach for all of it. And that is, you know, I fought the bill to require the 10 Commandments posted in every classroom. And I've often wondered, instead of posting the 10 Commandments in every classroom, why don't they post money is the root of all evil in every boardroom? Why don't they post do not judge in every courtroom? Why don't they post turn the other cheek in the halls of the Pentagon? Or it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. This is the inconsistency.
Just that line of I just love it. James Tallarico's so good. He's so good. He's so good. Yeah, I beat Jasmine Crockett in the primary, which, I mean, I hope Jasmine Crockett runs for something else. I mean, I don't know, it's sad that, especially in Texas, the white Christian man is the one that is going to win. Unfortunately, it sucks that is the world we live in, but that is it. And that's kind of something that I'm a white guy, so I got a lot of points in my favor here, but I'm also not Christian, so I don't know how often people in America elect people that are not Christian, so that is a variable in my consideration of whether I'm going to run or not. So we're gonna go here. I need to use these lure grenades more often, I feel like. This is why I need the advanced mechanical components. That would be exactly why. Let's upgrade this, though. So at least make a 3. Cool. I think we're good.
I'm trying to call out because they're using my tradition. They're speaking for me. And so I think I have a special moral responsibility to combat Christian nationalism wherever.
Maybe we just put it here instead. How about that? And the chats will still show up right above my head. Maybe that's the way to go. Just get rid of the title. That might be the way to go.
I see it.
One thing I appreciate about Donald Trump, about President Trump, is he doesn't pretend that his politics are built on piety, right? He that's not his style. But the Vice President, J.D. Vance, does suggest that his politics are built around a Christian ethic. And I want to play a clip of him for you.
And as an American leader, but also just as an American citizen, your compassion belongs first to your fellow citizens. It doesn't mean you hate people from outside of your own borders, but there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world.
What did you think when you heard Vance say that?
That's not the gospel. And I don't think I'm saying this as a Democrat. I think I'm saying this as a fellow believer. J.D. Vance and I are part of the body of Christ together. And I think this is antithetical to the gospel. The gospel is all about prioritizing those on the outside, those who are least lovable. And that's what's so revolutionary about it. There are some strange passages in the New Testament, and one of them is when Jesus tells his followers that they have to hate their mother and father. I don't think Jesus was speaking literally. I don't know, but I don't think so, because I think we should love our moms and dads. I love mine. The Ten Commandments require us to.
Some people don't
Jesus
have
was a
great
devout
mom
Jew
and dads, though. So
the day he was born,
you need to earn that love and respect.
But I think
care,
he's using shocking
At least
language.
I think they should.
To teach us something, and that is that sometimes our little loves for our parents, for our friends, for our children, for our neighborhood, really important, crucial, beautiful, profound loves. Sometimes those smaller loves can get in the way of the big love. The love for the stranger, the love for the outcast, the love for the foreigner, which are, and I should add, love for our enemies, the hardest love to achieve. And so what J.D. Vance is describing is the culture that we already live in. That's the world. And we Christians are called to see beyond the world. And that's to a divine love, a godlike love, because, as Scripture says, the rains and the sun fall on the righteous and the unrighteous alike. God loves all of us, no matter what we've done, no matter how good or how bad we are. And we as Christians are called to have that divine agape love for every person equally. And that's hard to do. I love my family more than I love other families. I'm guilty of that. I think we all are. But the gospel is pushing us to move beyond that and to have the same love for a child on the other side of the world that we have for our child.
There we go.
And it's almost impossible to do that. But it is what we are called to do.
I think as somebody who's outside Christianity, and as such is always a little bit astonished by the radicalism of the text.
Yes.
And the strangeness of it. God incarnates in a human being. That human being is tortured and murdered and rises again as a lesson in mercy and forgiveness and transcendence, and there's all manner of violence I'm doing to the story there. But the incarnation in the least among us, the structure of, to me, the New Testament as Jesus goes to one outcast member of society after another, and then I look up into particularly this administration.
Someone came through here,
and I see people who are incredibly loud in their Christianity, and also incredibly cruel in their politics. Put aside the question of what borders you think a nation must have. you can enforce that border in all manner of ways without treating people who are coming here to escape violence or to better their family's life cruelly.
Amen.
You can do it without the memes we see them make on social media of a cartoon immigrant weeping as she's being deported, of the ASMR video of migrants shackled to one another, dragging their chains, with the implication being that the sound of that should soothe you. It is the ability to insist on your allegiance to such a radical religion and then treat other human beings with such genuinely, to me, unmitigated cruelty that I actually find hard at a soul level to reconcile.
Goodbye,
Yeah,
boring.
as he
Hello,
should.
delicious.
That should be hard to
30
reconcile.
beef sticks for just $36.
Scripture says you can't love God and hate other people. That's in 1 John. You can't love God and abuse the immigrant. You can't love God and oppress the poor. You can't love God and bully the outcast. We spend so much time looking for God out there that we miss God in the person sitting right next to us, in that neighbor who bears the divine image. In the face of a neighbor, we glimpse the face of God. All of this is rooted in your tradition. All of the commandment to love God and love neighbor is not from Christianity. It is from Judaism. And all Jesus is clarifying as kind of a radical rabbi is that neighbor is the person you love the least. The parable of the Good Samaritan, maybe the most famous of Jesus' parables, is so, I think we forget in our modern context how shocking it was. Because today, being a good Samaritan just means helping people on the side of the road, which is good. You should do that.
Yeah,
but
because you have good Samaritan
for Jesus'
laws,
listeners,
so it's like
in the
associated with
first
that.
century, the Samaritans were not just a different religious group. The Samaritans were their sworn enemies. And so he is pushing the boundaries on how we define neighbor and who we're supposed to love. Loving our enemies? I mean, again, it's become trite in a culture dominated by Christianity, but none of us actually do that. None of us actually love our enemies, even if we say we try to. And so, yeah, I share the same revulsion that Christians in the halls of power are blatantly violating the teachings of Christianity on a daily basis and hurting our neighbors in the process.
Let me try to get at maybe the appeal of some of this form of Christianized politics. Society alters very fast. What it looks like today versus what it looked like when I was growing up, before I had a personal computer, to say nothing of the internet.
Yeah.
And one thing I see people looking for in religion and in religious politics, I see it particularly on the right with a re-embrace of Catholicism and even Greek Orthodoxy, is people want something to hold on to when everything around them feels like it is changing. And what I see you offering to some degree is a religion and a set of answers that are still changing. After you were on Joe Rogan, the conservative Christian commentator Allie Beth Stuckey published a long rebuttal of your arguments and an argument against progressive Christianity in general. And I want to play you a clip from it.
Progressive Christian is an oxymoron. It is actually a contradiction. It is like saying, I want a flat waffle. Well, a flat waffle is a pancake, because what makes a waffle are the ridges. In the same way, a progressive Christian is not a Christian because Christianity is not progressive. It is static. It is defined by a central fixed truth. This truth does not change. It doesn't progress. It doesn't evolve.
What do you think of that?
I think she's partially right. If you read the Sermon on the Mount, again, I think Jesus should have a say in what Christianity means. In that sermon, he is the ultimate conservative and the ultimate progressive at the same time. You know, as all great teachers, he is breaking us out of the dualistic thinking that plagues us. He is rooting everything in his tradition, Judaism. Everything goes back to Moses and the Ten Commandments and the Torah, everything. And he says, I'm not here to destroy the law, I'm here to fulfill the law. So he's connected to something that's bigger than himself. But then he's also pushing us to take those teachings to the next level, to go deeper into them. The law tells you an eye for an eye. I'm telling you to turn the other cheek. Because Moses told you an eye for an eye because you weren't ready to hear turn the other cheek. And so that eye for an eye was meant to keep things from spiraling out of control. It was meant to have a balance of justice. And then Jesus is going further in teaching nonviolence, which is consistent and a growth, an evolution. And that's the universe we live in. God created an evolving universe. And so, and you can actually go back in the New Testament, the first word out of Jesus's mouth is change. Some can call it repent or turn around, but change is the first thing he says in his public ministry. So I think both of these things can be true at the same time. We are rooted in something eternal, something that has existed since before time existed. And it is also always moving us forward, and we are always changing and evolving. And both of those things can be true at the same time.
Your campaign slogan is, "It's time to start flipping tables."
Yeah.
What's that a reference to?
So it's, again, a story in the New Testament of when Jesus walks into the temple. And I think it's hard for us in our modern context to really understand an equivalent of the temple, because you would think it's a church or a synagogue or a mosque. But the temple was so much more than that. It was the center of not just religious power, but economic power and political power. And so this humble rabbi from the backwoods in the Galilee doesn't just stay in his room and pray when his neighbors are being hurt. He walks into the seat of power and he flips over the tables of the money changers, the tables of injustice. And it's a profound act of protest, of civil disobedience. It's ultimately what gets him killed by the Roman Empire. And I and many others, we always think about Jesus being gentle and kind and soft, all those things he was. But he was also strong and tough and confrontational and aggressive when people were being hurt. And at least for me, and I think for this country, we have to remember that that is what love demands of us sometimes. And so I wanted to center that story when we started the campaign, because this campaign was going to be about fighting back. The billionaires who own our algorithms, who own our cable news networks, who own the politicians fighting on our screens and keeping us all divided. This was going to be a campaign that was going to bring people together to stand up to those forces.
Who were the money changers?
So we were talking earlier about religion being corrupted. Folks who were going to the temple sometimes had to make sacrifices and part of that ritual. And so the money changers were allowing them to participate in that temple economy, and in the process getting rich off of those people. This is, again, partly why we are so focused on trying to keep these traditions sacred, because in this case, the money changers are profiting off of people's search for the sacred. And it's what we're called to challenge directly.
Let me ask you then a question about a term used a lot that feels connected to this to me, which is the rage economy. What is to you the rage economy?
I just mentioned the billionaires who own the algorithms and the news networks. They have created for-profit platforms that, with these predatory algorithms, that divide us on an hourly, daily basis, dividing us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, and they elevate the most extreme voices very strategically to provoke our outrage, to provoke our anger, because that leads to more clicks, which leads to more money for them. Because anger sells, hate sells, fear sells. These billionaires and their platforms are engineering our emotions so they can profit off of our pain. They are selling us conflict right into our bloodstream, and they're calling it connection. It's almost like feeding someone empty calories. And I think it's left people starving for actual community, for real relationship.
Well, the thing you had said a minute ago about the money changers that made me want to jump to this question of the rage economy is it is actually quite intimate, and I think sacred would be going probably too far, but to go to a place searching for connection, to go to a place searching to be understood, which I think at its core is what social media was originally offering us.
Correct.
To go there and say, this is where your family is.
Yeah.
This is where your friends are. This is where you can find people like you. And, you know, for many of us, it was that for a time. And it is not that now. I thought it was amazing in the FTC versus Meta case. It came out that on Instagram now, only 7% of the time people spend on Instagram, 7% is
Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't think I'm still streaming even. Am I still streaming? Yeah, I am still streaming. My power went out. I had to use my OBS to get out of here. I had to use my OBS. Or at least, maybe I blew a fuse, maybe? I don't know. Maybe I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. So power didn't fully go out. I think I just blew a fuse. Well, that might be the end of the stream here. I'm literally like playing off of OBS. See if we can like. Let me turn on my phone flashlight. There we go. This is kind of nuts. There we go. This is kind of nuts. All right. Well, actually, I'm just gonna go away for a second. I will maybe be right back. If not, this will be the end of the stream. We'll see. But I'll be back. And we're back. My power strip just barely pulled out of the wall. That was what happened there. Power strip barely pulled out of the wall. That was what happened there. That was a little nuts. Okay. Again, trying to finish this. Pull this back up too. Finish this. Expedition, materials. Expedition. Let's sell that. Oh, we're almost there. And I think it's just like literally. Okay, I had an echo. Okay, we're back now. But yeah, and then after this, I think it's just money for the last step, I believe. I don't know that for sure though. We'll see. Sell these little stacks. And there we go. Yeah. If stocked is ready, stocked and ready. When the department window opens, you can sign your raider up. Remaining stash items are contributed, and your next raider will earn up to 5 skill points based on the total value. So I need what? Isn't it 3 million? Guess we can get a little, yep. Stash and coin, yep. I need another 900,000. So maybe we just do one last. Window opens in 42 days. I got some time. Maybe we do one last. Nah, I think I'm gonna end the stream. Yeah, we're gonna end the stream. Well, that was fun. I think I'm gonna do this more often, where I react to stuff while I'm playing video games. It's just, for me, more entertaining. It's how I like playing video games, and I like reacting to things. I just do. I don't know, the era of react content. Maybe I'm just gonna be another person in it, but whatever, it's fine. It'll give us more discussion topics to explore and all of that stuff, so. Whatever, it's how I want to stream, and it's really, the stream is about me because there's no one here watching, so anyway, you get it. Like, this is for me, not for you. That's why I do stuff like this. I'm playing video games and watching videos for me, not for you. So anyway, you get it. So that is it for the stream. See you in the next one.